thank you for coming today. I'm Trish Meek, and I'm one of the transportation planners at the Center Regional Planning Agency. And we also provide staff services to the Center County MPO as well, which is a mental health planning organization. Of course, everyone knows why we're here today. We're here to celebrate that we've received a bronze designation from the League of American Bicyclists as a bicycle-friendly community. And if you had a chance to read the press release, you would have saw that there were a lot of details in there about the number of communities in the country that actually have the designation. There are only, I believe, 214 of them. We are at the bronze level. Very few at this time are above that level, but we can strive for that in the future. Over 500 communities have applied in the past, so it shows that there is interest in becoming a bicycle-friendly community. The way that we're going to run this is I'm going to turn it over to Mark Stevenson, who's the chair of the Center Region Council of Governments, for a few words. Then we'll have Jeff Luck, who's the chair of the Transportation and Land Use Committee, speak. I'll say a few words, and then we'll turn it over to Jim Serene, who's with the Center Region Bike Coalition, who actually headed up the effort and brought forward the idea that COG apply on a regional basis. So with that, I will turn it over to Mark.
All right, thank you, Trish. I'm just here very briefly to once again thank the League of American Bicyclists for this honor. It truly is an honor to be recognized for what is literally decades of effort and achievement on behalf of elected officials, staff of all the municipalities, staff of COG, and just generally citizens and bicycle enthusiasts throughout the Center region. We're big proponents of bicycling in the Center region, not just because it is a very healthy activity and family-friendly activity, but because, as we've seen in recent years, it's a way to just do great planning, generally. Get vehicles off the road, get more people on bikes so they can commute to class and to work. I'd like to thank Trish Meek and her staff, Jim Steff, the director of COG, for all the work they've put in to making an application for this acknowledgement. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to another elected official, Jeff Luck, who is the chairman of COG's Transportation and Land Use Committee, and is a lot closer to a lot of these initiatives. Jeff.
Thanks, Mark. I just want to say a few words about the process. I'm going to give a shout out to Chuck Anderson, who is the first person who I talked to about the possibility of us undertaking this. And we considered carefully about whether this was a good initiative. I think everybody agreed it was a good initiative. There was a little concern about the effort. What we finally decided was that not only do bicyclists experience bicycling as a region, but there were actually economies to be had by doing it as a region. So we wanted to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money and get it accomplished, and I think doing it regionally was the way to do that. In addition to everybody else, I'd also like to thank the township staffs, municipalities and the townships, who I'm sure had to provide data in order to get this application done. In addition to that, Penn State, which I also think probably provided quite a bit of data in order to get this done. You know, there are a lot of people who identify themselves as bicyclists, and they join the coalition and they join other activities. From a regional perspective, we're working to try to take away all the barriers so anyone can consider the possibility of the bike as an alternative to other modes of transportation and recreation that they might choose. So hopefully in the future we'll see the bronze designation continue to go up, and we appreciate all of your support for bicycling in the region. Thank you.
And I just wanted to start off saying that I had been out of the office for a number of weeks, so I came back to this news. I had a tip-off a couple weeks ago, and they said you are not allowed to tell people. So it's probably a good thing, if you know me, that I wasn't here. But I did have the opportunity when I got back to go into Jim Steff's office, and if you don't know him, he's the executive director of the Center Region Council of Governments, and he's been extremely supportive of this approach from a regional standpoint from the very beginning, and he helped us get through the process that is COG. And I think some people, Dr. Serene, we learned a lot as we moved through this and all the committees that we had to wade through to get to this point. But what I will say is that when I sat down with Jim, what he said to me is that we need to celebrate these types of victories. It's very important that we say we now are a bicycle-friendly community, we've worked hard to get there, and that we need to move to another point. Well, of course, we finished that discussion. I went back to my office. He sent me an email because it was obviously still on his mind. I said, "Jim, can I quote you?" And immediately he showed up in my office and sat down for an hour. So you can tell that even at the very top of COG, from a staff perspective, there's a real commitment to bicycling and providing facilities. But what he said to me was, and this was just some information about what's happened with him in his journey through COG, that when he got here in the 80s, he said there was a staff member here, I can't remember her name, but she was really into cycling. She believed in it, she rode her bike to work every day, and State College was doing things then that other communities in the country weren't doing. And I said, well, that's actually interesting that you said that, Jim, because if you don't know me, I save everything. And I pulled a milk crate out from underneath my desk and pulled out several studies that Alexis Penna-Schwaltz had actually completed in the 80s. And he said, oh yeah, that's right, that's who it is. So the point is that this award has been decades in the making. So we cannot credit one single group of individuals, although of course our elected officials at the local, state, and federal level, and I say federal because if you realize how we get money for the majority of these projects, it comes from what is called the Transportation Enhancements Program, which is questionable to continue in the future. But that money infused into our community has made a significant difference in the number of facilities that we can put down on the streets or off the streets, whichever kind of facility you like to use. So it has taken us a while to get here, but there are many people, too numerous to thank, to get us to the point we're at right now. But what I wanted to say is I could stand here and I could tell you a lot of statistics about what we have in State College, where we're going, and information like that. But you can go to the website, you can look at the application, you can look at all the information that we put together. And as Jeff mentioned, the municipal staff, Penn State staff, the police officers, everyone that helped do the application was needed to make it happen because it's not set up to be done on a regional basis. So we had to bundle all the data and bring it together into one cohesive application. But I thought it would be interesting if, and I know that everyone here is supportive of cycling, but I just thought if for a moment, instead of talking about statistics, we all thought about our first bike. And when I think about my first bike, I'll let you get a visual of what yours is. It had a banana seat with purple metallic vinyl covering, monkey bars, pink and white streamers, a white basket with 3 flowers. I can tell you exactly where they were on the basket, what color they were. And when you think of it that way, it ties back to more than we talk about as far as statistics as proving to people that we need more bike facilities. Bike facilities that are out there, that children can use, that adults can use, are key to everything. And when I got my first bike, I'm from a rural area in Washington County, Pennsylvania called Somerset Township. There are no sidewalks, there are no bike paths, there are rural 2-lane roadways. But when I got a bike, I could all of a sudden, because I was a farmer and I knew the farmers, ride through farm fields, jump fences, I could buy ice cream, I could go to a county park, I could go see my grandparents without my parents, and a bike made that all possible. So by having some facilities that we're comfortable with and skilled riders, and knowledge is all part of this, we can all build a real community. Because I can assure you that as a small child riding on a bike, I knew where every post was, what every dog's name was, who all the neighbors were, and you don't get that when you ride in a car. So I think it's important to realize that as we build these facilities, we're building community. Yes, we're doing economic development, we're attracting people to the area, but we're building safe places for families to live, and that is really what's key. It provides you some kind of pride, because I was very proud of that first bike that I bought. And you know, you can go, if you start mentally thinking about it, that was my first bike. My second bike was a 3-speed, which I didn't like because I wanted a 10-speed, you know. And then I got the 10-speed, and when I think about it, it probably weighed 40 pounds, so I don't even know how I pedaled it around. And you know, you graduate from college, you have money. I bought a bike that cost more than my car at the time.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. You start out small, you build, and hopefully if we provide people the facilities, the knowledge, and the ability to ride, that will also help into them as well. And it all ties into other things such as healthy living, and everything that's good. And if the weather was like this here every day, I'm sure we would have a much higher percentage of people that ride. So when you think about it, it all comes full circle. It's about economics, community, building healthy communities, health issues, everything comes together. And I'll end the story with a story about 4 small children that live in a very rural area of Greene County. It's called Holbrook, Pennsylvania. There are no sidewalks. There are definitely no bike paths there. And the road they live on is dirt. Their names are Judd, Kylie, Casey, and Levi, and they range from the ages of 10 to 5, and they're my nieces and nephews. And I can assure you, they think I am the greatest aunt in the world when they come to State College, and I can ride out of my garage onto the Tudig-Circleville bike path. So when they came last July, when the temperatures were in the hundreds for probably 3 consecutive days, they wanted to ride all day, every day. We did some riding. We couldn't do it all. But I'll just say that when they came here, they did what I did as a child. We rode the Tudig-Circleville bike path. We went to the waffle shop. We went to Sunset Park. We went to the game lands. We went to the Arboretum. So it all comes full circle then. That if we just give kids a chance to ride and a place to be, they'll probably grow up to be adults that actually ride as well. And it's not all about fun and play, it's about transportation too. And I'm actually giving transportation the short stick here, which is different for me since I'm a transportation planner. But it all comes together. And I think that we should really be proud that we're bicycle-friendly community bronze. But I think what would really make me proud in the future is if someone comes up to one of those 4 kids in the future, maybe in 30 years when they're in their 40s like I am, and says, hey, what was your first bike like? They could describe it to them, and then they would talk about how they rode it in State College, and then they could end it by saying State College is now BFC Platinum. So, I think that everybody that stands here is very supportive of this effort, and we just need to keep continuing to move forward. And the League has provided us a very long list of the things that we can do to move to the next level. And I'm sure that's something COG will be discussing in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.